Welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to continue painting our way through the Necron half of the Indomitus box. And we're going to be having a look at the scarabs today. I think they're quite simple to paint and I think they look really smart. Right, so let's begin. I will say, I'll just bring this back actually so I can show you, because of how close the scarabs are to the base, I would recommend actually preparing your base first, which is what I've done here, just so that you can make sure you can get all the detail and everything you want on your base before the scarabs will block that. I'll link another video to my basing tutorial on how I do all my bases, so you might want to give that a watch just to get up to this point, and then we can carry on working on our scarabs. So first things first, you'll notice on your scarabs, oh by the way, I've undercoated these with Chaos Black and then Leadbulcher spray just to get them to this point. So it's all dry now. But you will notice on these that there are a few bits, like here, where's another one, just in the gap of this leg over here, there, and maybe there as well. It's different on each scarab model where it's not quite, it's not see-through, there's still a bit of plastic there. Now that will be obvious, I think, once the model's finished if you don't do something about it. So what I'm going to do is just paint those bits in black. I'm using the Contrast Black Templar paint by Games Workshop, just because that's what I grabbed up my drawer first, but a Baden Black, a bit of thin down the Baden Black will work fine just in these areas here. So I'm just going to grab some paint and start blocking that in. It'll take a couple of coats, whether you're using the Contrast Black or the Baden Black, just to get a nice solid black in those areas, especially with the Contrast Black because it's sort of semi-transparent by its very nature. And then once I've got a solid black in all those bits, I will come back. While you're painting in the black bits, on the two scarabs that don't come with their own sort of rock bit on the base, you might also want to paint the base connection bits that they come on black as well, just because you can see they're still visible, so painting them black sort of makes them blend in a bit, whereas on the guys that actually come with their own rock, the little spikes on the bottom get fairly well hidden, so you should be right with those. Right, moving on to our scarab. As you can see, this chap is now dry and we've blacked in those areas. So now what we want to do is just neaten up a bit with Leadbulcher, which is the same colour as the spray base coat. So I'm just getting some Leadbulcher on my brush, and it's just going to be a case of gently going around, and you can see sort of here I've managed to get a bit of the contrast paint on the scarab, so it's just going around and tidying that up. The Leadbulcher should cover fairly well, so if we just go around and neaten up where we might have made a bit of a mess, and then I'll come back once that's done. Right, that's the neatening up stage done, so the next thing we want to do is stick a wash of Nuln Oil all over the miniature. It might be easy to maybe sort of do one side, let it dry, and turn it over and do the other side so you're not getting it all over your fingers. That's what I'll be doing. If you're batch painting these, which I'd recommend doing, then you can do the bottom of one, and move on to the next and the next, and by the time you get back around to the start, the bottom will dry and you can just crack on with the top of it. It should be. Anyway, I'll start applying some Nuln Oil to this, just to give the miniature a bit of depth, and I'll be back when that's done. That's the Nuln Oil wash on our scarabs all dry, so now it's just going to be a case of delicately pushing it into the base. I'm going to do this off camera because it can be a bit fiddly, but I'll be back when that's done. That's our Necron scarabs pushed into the base. Now it did take a little gentle persuasion, but we got them in the end. Next up is a dry brush of Necron Compound. So I've got my Necron Compound just to the side here, and I'm just preparing some on my dry brush. This is an all over dry brush, trying as best as you can to avoid getting any on the actual base. and a little bit too much paint on my brush there. It gives a bit of a weathered look, so that's fine. So just work your way around, catching the edges on all your scarabs, and I'll be back once I've done. That's our dry brush of Necron Compound done. You can see it's just sort of picked out all the highlights around the edges and around with the battle damages and stuff like that, which looks quite nice now. Next step is to grab your Runelord Brass base paint, and with this one we're just going to be painting in all the faces, trying as best you can to avoid the silver work, and try to leave that black with the Runelord settled around the eye orb. So we will just crack on with that. This Runelord Brass does cover quite nicely, so you won't need an awful lot of it on your brush. And I'll be back once I've finished doing that. That's our Runelord Brass now applied, and you can see all those heads are now that nice bronze colour. Now the next thing we're going to do is grab our Cryptek Armourshade gloss. I'd recommend giving this shade a good shake before using it, because the pigment does have a tendency to settle. So I've given mine a shake already, and I've just got a smaller brush, and I'm just working some of the shade out of the bristles at the moment, because you don't need a lot. And let's see if I can show you on this front one here. I start at the top and work my way down to the bottom, just over that Runelord Brass that we've already applied. Now you don't want it to pull, so by working from top to bottom I'm able to drag my brush off the end like that, which prevents it from pulling. So if you go around the miniature and do the same sort of around the back here on the sides, if you painted those bits, just with your Runelord, not your Runelord Brass, your Cryptek Armourshade gloss, and I'll do the same, and I'll be back once I'm done. That's our Cryptek Armourshade done now, and you can see that bronze has taken on that nice rich colour. The next step is going to be to highlight the faces now, and to do that we're going to be using the new Canoptek Alloy paint. Again, you don't need an awful lot on your brush here, because it's just sort of detail work that we're doing. So I'll be applying this with a damp detail brush, and you're just wanting to catch the top around here, the sides, and maybe those little sort of teethy bits at the bottom. So if we start working our way through that, see, I'm just using the side of my brush to sort of catch those edges, and I'll be back when I'm done. That's the Canoptek Alloy highlight done now, so the next step is to get the orbs done and their little face eye. To get that underway, I'm going to be base coating all the orbs and that little eye with Ulthuan Grey. Now you'll possibly need a couple of thin coats of this to get a solid colour. So I'm just loading my brush up with some Ulthuan Grey, and I'm going to start coming in here and just spotting these eyes in to begin with. And I will be back once I've finished basing everything in. That's our Ulthuan Grey all base coated in, so the next step is to grab your Tesseract Glow, get a bit on your brush. You don't want too much here, you don't want to flood the model, and then just delicately starting to spot in all those bits that you just painted white. If you do find that you get pooling, so if we say for example like there, just quickly wash out your brush, dry it off, and then you can go in and start collecting that on your brush. Wipe it on your tissue again. You can just keep doing that until you manage to get all that flooded Tesseract Glow out, just like that. Right, so if you carry on like that, guys, and I'll be back once I've finished. And with the Tesseract Glow now dry, you could call the model finished there, but I think we can take it one step further and apply a bit of a glow to the top to make it look as though these orbs are really shining. To do that, you'll still need your Tesseract Glow, and get a bit on your brush, again not too much, just want a bit, and it's as simple as just brushing some on around that glow area. We don't want too much. And try and draw your brush towards the orb, because that means that the paint will collect most where you lift your brush off, which will be around this bit here, which will make the concentration of the paint stronger along this area, which is what you want. And once that's dry, it should look like a glow. I'm just going to carry on working my way around all of these scarabs, and I'll be back once I'm done. And that's that last step done. You can see just applying a small layer of that Tesseract Glow around the orb really gives it that sort of glow effect. Makes it look like it's actually shining. And with that, your scarabs are done. And this one will be joining its little family of other completed scarabs here. This was the last one I had to do from my Indomitus box. If you have found this video useful, I would really appreciate it if you could give the video a like, please guys. And if you want to see me putting tutorials together and sort of paint-alongs for the rest of the Necrons from the Indomitus box, please consider giving the channel a subscription. I'll see you next time. Cheers guys, thanks a lot, bye.